Okay, today's rule is on today's lessons on multiplying monomials and using rules of exponents on them as well. So we're going to start by multiplying. This should actually be a review from earlier in the year. We've talked about this. When I'm multiplying something like an x squared and an x cubed together, x squared means x times x. X cubed means 3x is being multiplied. So if I look at that, that means I have 5x is being multiplied, which I can write x to the 5th power. So the short way to do that, the rule is if I take my exponents and add them together, I'll get the exponent in the answer. So if I have y to the 4th times y to the 5th, that's going to give me y to the 9th just by adding them up. Okay, now if I have a polynomial or monomials where I have numbers in front, I'm still multiplying these two terms together, so the numbers in front are just going to get multiplied. So I'm going to do 5 times negative 4. A 5 times a negative 4 is negative 20. And then I use the rule like I did up here on the ends. I have an n to the 3rd power, and when there's no exponent that is to the 1st power, we don't have to write it. So if I add those up, I'll get n to the 4th power. And that's my answer right there, negative 20 n to the 4th. Now, I can do the exact same thing when I distribute as well. So I can have now, instead of just numbers out front when I'm distributing, I might have variables raised to powers. But I use the exact same rules that I just used. So t to the 4th times a negative 3t, well, this is 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. There's always a 1 in front of the variable if there's nothing else written. And then I'm just going to add the exponents on the t's. So 4 plus 1 over here is going to make it t to the 5th power. And then I have to multiply by the 8 as well. 8 times 1 is 8. And this has no t's to add the exponents with, so I just bring the t to the 4th down with this. And again, I always double check that this is in standard form, which this one is. I have 5th power, then 4th power, so that is standard form. That's my answer. Just using those rules, multiply the numbers out front, add the exponents. Whether it's just single terms or distributing, do it the same way. Now, I also have some rules for exponents. If I have a couple of different variables or a number and a variable inside parentheses and an exponent outside, this is basically like distributing again. This exponent has to go on both of those. So xy raised to the 4th power just means that x gets raised to the 4th power, and so does y. And I use the exact same rule when I have numbers. Okay? So if I have 2c squared, then I'm going to get 2 squared and c squared. Now I can, when I have a number raised to a power, I can simplify that by multiplying. 2 squared means 2 times 2, which is 4. So I have 4c squared is my answer. Same rule, I just put the exponent on both of them. One of the other exponent rules we have is that if you have an exponent inside parentheses and an exponent outside of the parentheses, they get multiplied together. So 2 to the 3rd and then to the 3rd power again is 2 to the 9th power because I multiply the 3 times 3. And again, I have a number raised to a power, so I can go ahead and multiply that out to simplify it. And this, because it's a 9th power, I can do it right on a calculator. 2 to the 9th ends up being 512. That's 9 2's being multiplied together. And you'll get 512. Anytime I have a number raised to a power, I should always simplify it. Okay. Where down here, I'm still going to use the same rule. I have a power inside, a power outside, so I will multiply them. 4 times 5 is 20. But that's all the simplifying I can do. X to the 20th, that's it. That's my answer. But if I have a number, make sure you simplify that. And then I can put the last two rules together. I have two different things inside the parentheses, both with a power, and then I have another power outside. So again, this power outside has to go onto each one of these. And when I do that, I'm going to use the rule that we just talked about. Power inside, power outside, they get multiplied together. So p squared to the 4th makes it p to the 8th. And q cubed to the 4th, multiply those, and I get q to the 12th. So that's it. That's your multiplying, and those are your exponent rules for monomials.